I stood at the altar with a ring in my pocket and my heart in my throat, and then the screen lit up behind me like the opening act of hell. Most weddings, folks remember the cake, or the dance floor, or Uncle Ronnie drinking too much and trying to two-step with the bride's mama. But mine? They remembered the video. A slideshow of betrayal, or so it claimed, starting with a photo of me at dinner with a woman I'd never seen in my life. Then screenshots of text messages I didn't send, money transfers I didn't make, and a hotel receipt with my name typed across it like a scarlet letter. Gasps, whispers, a couple of folks just walked out right then and there. And my bride? She turned and ran, veil flying behind her like a flag of surrender, before I could even say her name. Her father followed, cussing under his breath, and her mother threw the bouquet at my chest like it was a grenade. I didn't move. Didn't flinch. Because I knew exactly who did this. And it wasn't some stranger. It was my sister. My own flesh and blood, Katie. She stood in the second row, cool as ice water, arms folded across her smug little chest, with that same smirk she wore back in high school when she told Mama I'd skipped class, when I hadn't. She'd ruined my wedding, no, she'd engineered the whole damn thing like a NASA launch. The fake messages? All traced back to burner numbers bought with a prepaid card. The hotel receipt? Printed and altered with software I later found on her old laptop. The slideshow? Triggered from her phone, synced to the venue's A/V system. She'd pretended to help set up the tribute to love earlier that morning. I should have known better. And my parents? They believed her without a blink. Dad crossed his arms and muttered, "I always knew you were too good to be true." Mama wouldn't even look at me. She just pulled Katie into a hug and whispered, "You did the right thing." That was the part that gutted me. Not the bride bolting. Not the ruined day. But the fact that my whole damn family stood behind the woman who had spent her life tearing me down, one sharp little lie at a time. You see, this wasn't her first dirty trick. But it was the last straw. Because up until that day, I'd held back. I'd taken it. The ruined job interview. The accidental emails sent to my boss. The anonymous tips that cost me scholarships, relationships, you name it. But not this time. This time, she set the whole world on fire, and she expected me to burn with it. Well. She forgot who she was messin' with. I don't swing wild. I don't scream or throw punches. I watch. I plan. And when I hit back, I make damn sure the whole building comes down. And friend, I built a fire so hot, Katie wouldn't just lose her reputation. She'd lose her job. Her name. Her future. Every fake smile, every rigged game, every smug little whisper she ever used against me. Gone. And just when you think you've heard it all, just when you think you've seen the worst someone like her could do, you'll find out what else she had planned that day. Something even worse. Something that didn't go off, but almost did. And buddy? You'll be shocked when you hear it. But first, let me walk you through the fire she lit. So you can appreciate the way I returned the flame. The first time Katie ever lied about me, I was 7. She told Mom I shoved her off the tire swing, said I pushed her so hard she flew 3 feet and hit the shed. Truth was, she slipped. Got cocky, spun too fast, and landed on her backside. But somehow, I was the villain. Got grounded for a week, missed the class field trip to the aquarium. Katie got an extra scoop of ice cream that night and slept like a baby. That's the kind of kid she was. Always 3 steps ahead in the art of making herself look like the victim, or the hero, whichever suited the moment. And me? I learned real quick that in our house, being right didn't mean a damn thing if Katie cried first. Now fast forward 20 years. I'd worked hard, kept my nose clean, never asked my folks for much after high school. Paid my way through trade school, built up a small carpentry business, kept a roof over my head and a few bucks in savings. Meanwhile, Katie breezed through life like she was born with a silver spoon and a magnifying glass, always looking for ants to fry. She'd show up at family dinners with her designer bags and her stories about marketing clients and networking dinners like she was the queen of Manhattan. Truth was, she worked at a medium-sized ad agency in Tulsa and spent most of her time gossiping, forwarding emails, and sucking up to middle management. But she played the part well. And my parents? Ate it up like pecan pie on a Sunday. Anytime she said something sideways about me, that I was struggling, too prideful, bad with money, they'd nod along like it was scripture. Never once did they ask me if any of it was true. So why'd she do it? Why go full scorched earth on my wedding? Well, friend, it's simple. Because she couldn't stand the idea of me being happy before her. I was getting married to a good woman, Sarah. Sweet, smart, tough in all the right ways. We were building a life, talking about a house, kids, future plans. And that burned Katie's hide. Because happiness, real happiness, makes bitter people itch. And my wedding? That was gonna be the day I finally stepped out from her shadow. Not just the family's quiet workhorse, but a man with something she couldn't fake, love. She had to kill it. Now, I didn't figure all this out overnight. After the wedding disaster, I spent 2 weeks holed up in a motel on the edge of town, trying to breathe through the smoke Katie had left behind. I wasn't answering calls. Didn't return texts. Just sat there with the little box that still held the wedding ring, and the only decent suit I owned hanging limp in the closet like a ghost at a funeral. Then one day, I woke up, looked in the mirror, and said, "You got 2 choices, son. Let her win. Or burn her damn empire to the ground." And that's when the plan started forming. Quiet at first. Just a flicker. But the longer I thought about it, the hotter it burned. See, you don't go after someone like Katie with fists or fire. You go after their image. Their influence. Their leverage. Because once folks stop believing in a liar, the liar don't have nothing left to stand on. So I started gathering. Old emails. Messages. Social media posts. I called up a buddy who worked in IT, he owed me for building his deck 2 summers back, and asked him how easy it was to spoof a phone number. He laughed and said, "Too easy." I took notes. Then I made a burner account, clean, professional, just vague enough to slip under Katie's radar, and I used it to start sniffing around her life. And that's when I found the first thread in the sweater. A tiny little thing. An intern at her agency, fired 6 months earlier. Made one vague tweet about being framed for a screw-up that wasn't hers. Didn't name names. But I messaged her anyway. Told her I was a journalist writing about office retaliation cases. Total fiction. But she replied. And when I asked who framed her, she said, "Katie Weller. VP of Marketing." That was all I needed. Not because it was a smoking gun. But because it confirmed what I already knew, Katie didn't just lie to get what she wanted. She lied to stay on top. And when you live on top of a house of cards, all it takes is one hard breath. So I started digging. Digging into her job. Her friends. Her finances. Her past. And I started laying bricks. One by one. Because revenge? Revenge needs a foundation strong enough to hold the weight of justice. And when I was done, buddy, even the devil himself would have whistled at what I was about to do. Katie had 2 weaknesses, well, 3 if you count bottom-shelf wine and expensive handbags. But the main 2? 1, she needed to be admired. 2, she believed she was too smart to ever get caught. That's a dangerous combo, especially when you start playing games with someone who knows how to build a trap with a smile. So I started where her pride lived, her job. She'd climbed the ladder fast at this boutique marketing firm down in Austin. Called herself a brand architect, which I always thought sounded like someone who drew blueprints for lies. She handled clients, budgets, social media campaigns, anything that looked shiny from a distance. Perfect. Because the shinier the thing, the louder it shatters when it falls. I created a new online identity, Daniel Rhodes, tech entrepreneur with a startup looking for marketing help. Used an AI headshot, built a clean website, filled the LinkedIn page with buzzwords like scalable user base and seed funding. Even had a fake Gmail set up with a thread of dummy investors backing me. Took me a weekend, 2 energy drinks, and a half-dozen lies that tasted smoother than bourbon. Then I reached out to Katie's firm for a proposal. Guess who bit? Yup. Katie herself. She messaged me personally through the company portal. "Hi Daniel, Katie Weller here. So excited about your project. Let's talk soon." You bet, sis. We had a call. She never saw my face, just a pitch deck on a screen share and a friendly, slightly southern voice from a burner laptop mic. I told her I was planning a big product launch. Needed a full campaign, high visibility, exclusive PR coverage. The works. She licked it up like gravy off a biscuit. 2 days later, I had her firm's internal documents in my inbox, cost projections, timelines, ad templates, and a personal message from Katie saying how she could secure the launch for under $60,000 with my full support and a small trust deposit. Oh yeah. She was gonna siphon from this deal and bury it under expenses. I baited the hook even further, added a line to our contract, fully legal, fully fake, saying she'd be personally responsible for any misrepresentation or mishandling. And she signed it. Digitally. With IP tracking. Which meant I had her fingerprints on something she believed was real, and soon, very illegal. This was my first domino. Small. Subtle. But when it fell, it was gonna take her whole damn tower with it. Now, you remember how I said earlier that she tried something even worse at the wedding? Yeah. This is where I start feelin' the itch to tell it. But not just yet. All I'll say is, I didn't find out about that part until much later. She'd planned it in secret. Left no paper trail. Buried it deep. But like most things Katie touched, it started to rot from the inside. And when I did finally uncover it, well, let's just say, if she'd pulled it off, I wouldn't be sittin' here tellin' this story from a porch. I'd be writin' it from a prison cell. But we'll get to that soon. Real soon. Back to the fire at hand. I gave it a week, then had my company pull out of the contract. Told Katie something came up, thanked her kindly, and vanished. But I didn't delete a thing. I saved everything. Emails. Calls. Proposals. Screenshots. Her personal reassurances. Even the audio of her saying, "No one else at the firm knows I'm handling this solo," keeps things smoother. Oh honey. You handed me the shovel and laid down in the dirt. Next up, her real-life assistant, poor girl named Jenna. Katie treated her like a Roomba with a pulse. Never remembered her birthday, took credit for her work, even blamed her once when a client dropped out. So I reached out. Not as Daniel Rhodes, no, this time I went in as someone else, a recruiter. Told Jenna she'd been recommended for a new marketing role at a bigger agency. We set up a call. And wouldn't you know it? By the end of it, she was ventin' about Katie like she was airin' out laundry in a hurricane. And she gave me the one thing I didn't even know I needed, a copy of an old client dispute Katie buried. A lawsuit that almost happened, because Katie faked ad metrics to make a campaign look successful when it flopped. I now had a pattern. Fraud. Lies. Cover-ups. From family to firm, Katie left scorched earth wherever she walked. And she thought no one was watchin'. But I was. And I had a whole matchbook in my hand. I always said revenge ain't about the swing, it's about the setup. You don't go in guns blazing. That's how amateurs get caught. You go in slow, patient, quiet, like termites in a porch beam. And after weeks of careful pryin', I found the right plank to crack. Her name was Leslie. VP of Operations at Katie's firm. From what I gathered, she didn't like Katie much, mainly because Katie kept skipping protocol, taking credit, and throwing interns under the bus like they were speed bumps. So I sent her an email. Anonymous. Untraceable. Just a few lines. Hi Leslie. Not sure if you're aware, but someone's been handling client funds off record. Might want to take a look at your team's contract logs for last month. A friend. That's all it took. One day later, Katie called Jenna, her assistant, into her office and told her not to mention the startup thing to anyone. Jenna, bless her heart, took a photo of Katie's handwritten note and sent it to the recruiter she'd talked to earlier. "That's me, in case you lost track." The note read, "Delete any mention of D. Rhodes, no emails, no Slack threads. Cover me." It was sloppy. Desperate. And it was perfect. Now, a normal person, they'd pause here. Feel a little guilt. Maybe get cold feet. But I wasn't after a gotcha moment. I wanted to ruin her publicly. And in today's world, there's one thing that cuts deeper than legal trouble: losing your image. So I started stirring the pot on social media, subtle-like. Commented on one of her firm's posts from a new throwaway account. Interesting how your campaigns get so much engagement for so little budget. Would love to see the back-end numbers. Within hours, someone else liked it. Then someone replied with a gif of a dumpster fire. Katie noticed. She messaged Jenna asking if someone was leaking data. Oh, sweet irony. The leaker was standing 5 feet away, offering to get her coffee. Now while all that was bubbling in the background, I started slipping breadcrumbs to a friend of mine, Jess. Jess ran a little podcast about workplace ethics and marketing horror stories. Low-key, but growing. I told her, again, anonymously, that I had a hell of a guest story for her: former intern, framed, fired, and silenced. And wouldn't you know it? That intern, the one Katie screwed over months ago? She was ready to talk. By Friday, Jess had the episode recorded, edited, and scheduled. It dropped Monday morning. Title? Ad Agency or Scam Factory? Inside a Toxic Campaign Culture. Katie's name wasn't said outright, but honey, if you'd ever worked with her, it wasn't hard to figure out who the VP in stilettos was. By lunchtime, I heard from Jenna again. She's freaking out. Thinks someone's spying on her computer. Changed all her passwords and yelled at the IT guy. Good. Paranoia is the seasoning of collapse. But remember that ticking time bomb I mentioned before? The thing Katie planned to do at the wedding but couldn't pull off? That shadow? It was startin' to creep back into my head more and more. See, by now I'd already figured out the slideshow was fake. The texts, the receipts, the photos, all doctored. But there'd been something else that didn't sit right. Sarah, my bride, or I guess ex at the time, had said something during her breakdown that stuck with me. "I saw the emails from the account with your middle name in it." Problem was, I'd never used my middle name in any email. Not once. Not ever. That meant someone had created a whole separate identity, not just for slander, but for fraud. At the time, I didn't know how deep that rabbit hole went. But I was getting close. Real close. And when I finally uncovered what she meant to do with that fake account, I damn near punched a hole in my wall. But I'll save that part. We're not quite there yet. For now, the trap was tightening. Katie's boss was circling. Her assistant was watching. The firm was whispering. And I hadn't even touched the legal side of things yet. But don't worry. That fuse is comin' next. And when it burns out, it's talking her whole life with it. You know, it's funny how quickly someone who's all confidence and lip gloss starts sweatin' once they see an envelope with their name on it and the word legal in bold type. But I'm gettin' ahead of myself. Let me back up to how we got there. Now, I didn't want to just embarrass Katie. I wanted her dragged through the one thing she couldn't gaslight or charm her way out of, a courtroom. So while her office world was startin' to crack, podcast episodes, gossip posts, and a not-so-friendly vibe among her co-workers, I focused on the one thing that'd make her sweat bullets: fraud. Specifically, the business contract she signed with Daniel Rhodes. That contract wasn't just for show, it was legally binding. My buddy Joe, real lawyer, good ol' Alabama boy who owed me a favor from back when I helped him replace the rotted porch on his mama's house, looked it over for me and said, "Yeah, if she moved a dime based on this, and misrepresented anything, You got her. Could get her fired. Maybe even worse. Bingo. So I filed a report. Nothing too loud. Just a quiet, official fraud complaint sent to the Texas State Board of Business Ethics. Sent along a copy of the contract, the emails, and a nice little cover letter from Daniel, explaining how devastated he was that he couldn't trust the firm he'd hired. The whole thing was clean, polite, and sharpened like a skinning knife. Then I filed another one, this time with the Better Business Bureau, naming her directly. Now, these things don't explode overnight. But they leave a scent. A paper trail. And folks in marketing? They hate anything that smells like scandal. Especially when potential clients start asking, "Hey, what's this about a fraud complaint tied to your VP?" Which is exactly what started happening. Meanwhile, I slipped a printed copy of the complaint, sealed in a crisp envelope, to a courier. Had him drop it off at her office, addressed to the executive board. Didn't say where it came from. Didn't need to. That envelope was the spark in a pile of dry brush. Now here's the beautiful part of the plan. While Katie was running around trying to cover her tracks, explain why one of her old interns was suddenly on a podcast, and calm down Jenna, who was starting to ask questions of her own, she had no idea that the Real Blast was still to come. And I don't just mean her job. I mean the rest of her life. Because remember that weird email address my ex-fiancée Sarah mentioned? The one with my middle name? Well, I finally tracked it down. Took a little digging, a few favors, and one late-night call to an IT guy at a local credit union who remembered me from a backyard barbecue. What I found wasn't just a burner email. It was a full-blown identity profile. My name. My social security number. A checking account. A digital signature file that looked almost like mine. And over $75,000 worth of transactions. Transfers. Deposits. A check made out to Wedding Planner, Advanced Services LLC. Except I never wrote that check. Never signed up for that planner. Hell, I didn't even know the planner's name until that day. Katie had been setting me up. Long before the wedding. She was prepping fake financial records. Setting it up so if the bride ran, if I got desperate, she could point at that fake account and say, "Look. He stole from mom and dad to pay for it all." And worse? She was days away from calling the police. Filing a report. Claiming I drained my parents' retirement fund to throw a wedding they never approved of. That was the final piece of her plan. Not just public humiliation. But prison. Felony-level fraud with me wearing the orange jumpsuit. That was the part that didn't happen. Why? Because the bank flagged one of her fake transfers as suspicious, and froze the whole mess. And the warning letter? Well, Katie intercepted the one sent to our parents. But she forgot something. Back in college, I had a P.O. box I never shut down, used it for odds and ends. And the bank, somehow, still had it listed as a backup. That second letter landed in my hands 2 weeks after the wedding. It just said, "Unusual activity detected on joint account ending in -0921. Please confirm authorized users." That's when the whole sick, twisted puzzle clicked together. She was gonna ruin me. For good. But she'd missed a step. And now? I had every receipt I needed. The difference between a scandal and a downfall is who's watching when the truth hits daylight. And I made damn sure the lights were bright. I started with the bank letter. Scanned it. Highlighted the key phrase, "Unusual activity, confirm authorized users." Then I laid it next to screenshots of that fake email account. The forged wire transfers. The wedding planner's check with my supposed signature. My real bank statement, squeaky clean, no overlaps. I packaged it all into a single PDF. Named the file Fraudulent Activity, subject, Katie Weller. Didn't blast it on social media, no sir. That'd just make people pick sides. Give her time to spin it. Instead, I sent it directly to 3 people, the HR director at her firm, the podcast host Jess, who I'd quietly stayed in contact with, and a local reporter named Doug Matson, who covered tech and business ethics down in Austin. Doug loved a juicy trail of corporate rot, and I gave him the motherlode. Within 48 hours, the firm suspended Katie indefinitely pending internal review. The CEO, some fella with a name like Brent or Brock, hair too perfect to trust, released a statement. "We take these allegations very seriously and are conducting a full audit." Her access was revoked. Her name removed from the website. The firm's LinkedIn profile suddenly went quiet. And me? I just watched from the porch, coffee in hand, like a man enjoying the weather after a storm finally breaks. But Katie? She didn't go quiet. She started scrambling. Tried posting vague inspirational quotes about forgiveness and overcoming jealousy, real subtle stuff. But folks weren't buying it. Especially not after Doug ran his piece. The headline? Marketing VP under investigation for falsifying client contracts and identity theft, alleged victim a family member. Now that turned heads. Folks from our hometown to downtown Austin were reading that article. And Sarah? She saw it too. She reached out the next day. It wasn't dramatic. Just a message on my old email account, the one we used to plan the wedding. "I'm sorry. I didn't know what to believe. I didn't think Katie was capable of something so cruel. I do now. If you ever want to talk, I'd like to apologize. Face to face." I didn't answer right away. Because I wasn't finished yet. Not until Katie felt the full weight of what she'd tried to do. And let me tell you, it was just getting started. 1 week later, she lost her job. Not just suspended. Not reassigned. Fired. With cause. Which meant no severance. No glowing references. And a fat red flag on her resume the size of a Texas billboard. The firm didn't want to touch her name with a hazmat suit after Doug's second piece dropped, the one where he laid out the details about the wedding scam, the burner emails, and the fake bank accounts. Katie tried to spin it, of course. Claimed someone hacked her. Tried blaming me, like I'd somehow set her up. But buddy, when you're holding the receipts, nobody cares how loud the liar yells. Back home, word spread fast. Our parents? They didn't know what to do. Dad sent a 2-line email. Didn't know the half of it. "I'm sorry." Mama called 3 times. Left voicemails full of tears and confusion. I didn't answer either of them. 'Cause truth be told, they helped make Katie what she was. Ignored the signs. Fed the flames. They'd have to live with that. Just like I lived with their silence after my wedding went up in smoke. Katie's fall wasn't over yet. Turns out that fake account, the one she used my identity for, that counted as federal wire fraud. And buddy, once that ball got rollin' with the bank's security division and the state fraud investigation unit, there wasn't a damn thing I needed to do but sit back and let the law do its slow, steady work. She got a formal letter. Then a knock on the door. Then a subpoena. And while she wasn't cuffed or dragged out on the news, not yet, anyway, let's just say she stopped posting about positive vibes real quick. If there's one thing Katie loved more than herself, it was attention. Every photo filtered. Every quote rehearsed. Every handshake calculated for the right camera angle. So when she got nominated for a Top Women in Branding award, big regional event, black tie, cocktail shrimp and press badges, you know she was already polishing her acceptance speech. This was her victory lap. Her "look how far I've come" moment. And she had no idea the whole damn thing was a setup. See, the nomination came through a marketing group she used to schmooze, one of those organizations that'll hand you a plaque for a $400 application fee. What Katie didn't know. One of the board members was my old professor from trade school. A woman named Dana who still remembered how Katie used to mock me on campus, called me "tool belt boy" when I showed up after class with sawdust on my boots. Turns out, Dana didn't forget. And when I gave her a call and laid out what Katie had done, with links, files, statements, and that juicy fraud packet, she didn't even hesitate. "Let's give her the stage," she said, "and burn it underneath her." Bless that woman. So the event gets announced. Katie plasters it everywhere, LinkedIn, Instagram, even a post tagging our mom that said, "From the church pews to the penthouse, dreams do come true." Barf. The ceremony's held at some ritzy hotel in downtown Austin. Glass chandeliers, champagne fountains, valet parking, the whole production. Katie shows up in a dress that probably cost more than my truck. Hair done. Heels like stilettos. The room's full of industry types, PR folks, and tech bros who clap for everything. And when they call her name, she struts up like a queen returning from war. But here's where it gets good. See, when she reaches the podium, the projector screen behind her flickers to life. At first, just a title slide. The real story of Katie Weller, a case study in brand manipulation. You could feel the air suck out of the room. Then come the screenshots. Emails. Wire transfers. Bank statements. The fake Daniel Rhodes contract. Audio clips of her reassuring Daniel about bypassing her team. Photos of the fake account setup. Even a scanned image of the bank letter warning of suspicious activity. All of it. Played like a trailer for a documentary nobody asked for but everyone couldn't stop watching. And the best part? That last slide. Big, bold letters. Fraud investigation pending, source, Texas Department of Financial Crimes Division. Katie's face? I'll never forget it. Went from polished smile to deer in headlights in half a breath. She didn't say a word. Didn't even finish her champagne. She turned, heels clicking like a broken metronome, and ran, straight off the stage, through the crowd, and out the back door. No speech. No trophy. Just silence and shame. The whole room sat there stunned for a full 10 seconds. Then someone, God bless them, clapped. And then another. And another. And suddenly? It was like the Oscars had just ended, and Katie was the punchline. Within hours, the footage was on Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, hell, somebody even uploaded it to Vimeo like it was a short film. The fraud queen of Austin started trending by midnight. She deleted all her accounts within 2 days. Unplugged completely. But the internet? It don't forget. And neither do people she stepped on to climb that ladder. After that? Sponsors dropped her. Events uninvited her. One of her old boyfriends even posted an apology video for ever bringing that woman into polite society. Ouch. And me? I didn't post a thing. Didn't like, share, comment. I just sat on the back porch, cracked a cold beer, and watched the sun go down behind the hills. Because revenge? Real revenge? Ain't about noise. It's about making sure when they finally fall, they land alone. After the gala collapse, Katie went underground. No calls. No socials. No LinkedIn humblebrags about growth and adversity. For the first time in her life, she had nothing to say. But the rest of the world? They were talking plenty. A few podcasts picked up the story. A couple marketing blogs ran hit pieces, calling her a walking masterclass in self-destruction. One even ranked her next to that guy who faked a whole festival and stranded rich kids on an island with cheese sandwiches. You remember that bank letter I got in my old college P.O. box? That one about suspicious activity? Well, that was just the smoke from a much bigger fire. I went digging. Got in touch with the bank's fraud department. Took some paperwork, a notary, and a whole lot of patience, but eventually, they shared what they'd flagged. That account in my name? It was part of a larger setup. Katie hadn't just created one account. She'd created 3. All under variations of my name, middle initial flipped, wrong birth year, a fake address pulled from a rental I lived in 6 years ago. They were used to launder money from a fake shell company, Weller Family Holdings, LLC. Guess who owned that? Some guy named Anthony Weller. Doesn't exist. But his signature? Almost a perfect match to Dad's. That's when my jaw hit the floor. Katie was building a paper trail that made it look like I'd embezzled $80,000 from our parents' retirement account. How? She'd logged into their banking system months earlier, remember, she helped Em set it up. She moved funds between accounts they owned, made it look like money vanished, then created documents linking the transfers to one of those fake accounts in my name. It wasn't just sneaky. It was brilliantly evil. If she had filed the report? If she had turned that package over to the police? It wouldn't have mattered how much I denied it. The accounts were real. The signatures looked authentic. The digital trail had my name, my info, my fingerprints all over it. I would have been cuffed and charged before I even knew what hit me. Grand larceny. Wire fraud. Identity theft. Minimum sentence? 5 years. But she got greedy. She pushed a fake transfer on a Friday night, a large one, too close to the limit, and the bank flagged it. Locked everything. Froze the money. Sent the alert. That P.O. box saved my life. If that letter had gone anywhere else, if she'd gotten just one more week of clean access, I'd have been in a courtroom trying to explain my way out of a cage. She wasn't just playing dirty. She was playing for keeps. Now here's the part that stuck with me. When I brought all this to a lawyer friend of mine, the one who'd been helping me file complaints, he stared at the folder, shook his head, and said, "This is premeditated. Cold. If you hadn't caught it, they'd be sending you mail behind bars." That hit me harder than anything Katie ever said. All those years I told myself she was just petty. Just jealous. Just a mean girl in a grown-up's pantsuit. Nah. Mama called me. Again. This time I picked up. She sounded tired. Like she'd aged 10 years in 3 weeks. "Eli. I don't know what to say." I didn't either, so I let her keep going. We believed her. Always have. And I'm startin' to wonder if maybe we believed her 'cause it was easier than believing we failed you. That hit me sideways. Then she said it, the word she hadn't said since I was a kid. "I'm sorry, baby. I should have protected you." I didn't say anything for a while. Just sat there, jaw set, thumb rubbed in slow circles on the edge of the counter. Finally, I said, "You can't fix what's already burned down, Mama. But maybe next time, you don't hand the matches to the one who lit the fire." She cried. Quiet, honest crying. The kind that ain't performin' for nobody. Then she hung up. I didn't call back. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. Then came Sarah. She wanted to meet. Face to face. And I'll be honest, I almost said no. Not because I hated her. But because part of me didn't want to crack the door open again, just to watch her walk out twice. But I did. We met at a little cafe off the square, same place where we'd picked our wedding cake, back when things were simple. She was already sittin' at a table by the window when I walked in, lookin' nervous, hands wrapped around a cup that probably went cold 20 minutes ago. She stood up when I approached. Didn't try to hug me. Just said, "You look good." I nodded. She sat. I sat. And for a moment, neither of us said a damn thing. Then she reached into her purse and pulled out a small stack of envelopes. "These were from Katie," she said. "Letters. Messages she wanted me to send you." I didn't. I took them. Didn't open them. Still haven't. She looked at me, real soft-like. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. And when everything blew up, I realized. I never gave you the chance to explain. I raised an eyebrow. Would you have listened? She swallowed. Shook her head. No. Not then. I appreciated the honesty. And here's the thing, she meant it. Every word. She wasn't looking for a second chance. Just a clean goodbye, or maybe a shot at friendship down the line. And me? I didn't hold it against her. Because the person who burned it all down? She was sittin' in a motel 6 miles outside town, hiding from her own reflection. That's right. Katie finally reached out. One text. No, hi. No, how are you? No sugar. Just. I know you did this. And I deserved it. Can we talk? Now if you're thinking, I ignored her, you don't know me. I told her to meet me at the old fairgrounds. Middle of the week. No one around. She pulled up in a rental. Sunglasses. Hoodie. Looked like a woman halfway through a witness protection makeover. We stood by the fence, 10 feet between us. She broke the silence. I wanted to ruin you. No excuses. No fake tears. Just facts. I saw you happy, and I hated it. You had everything: respect, real friends, peace. All the things I faked my whole damn life. Then she said it. I didn't just want to humiliate you. I wanted to erase you. She was shaking now. Hands twitching like she couldn't decide whether to reach for me or run. And when it all fell apart, I realized, you were the only person who ever gave me more chances than I deserved. I waited a second. Let the wind fill the silence. Then I said. You know what the worst part is, Katie? I still don't hate you. I just finally see you for what you are. She nodded. Didn't beg. Didn't ask for forgiveness. She just turned and walked back to her car. And for the first time in her life, she didn't look back. I never opened the letters. Never needed to. Sometimes the best kind of closure is walking away before the door even shuts. My business is still running. My name is clean. My peace is mine again. And Katie? Well, she got exactly what she gave me. Only I gave it back with interest. And that, my friend, is the end of that.